In this tutorial, we're going to recap on some key physics concepts which might help you with mechanical reasoning tests. You would have probably studied most of them in school under physics, but you might find it easier to understand them by also applying some of your natural intuition to them. The first equation is work done, which is defined as force times distance, and power, which is defined as work done divided by time taken. The kind of questions you might have will probably involve blocks being pushed with a certain force, a certain distance. One little point that you have to pay attention to is that you're using the right units. Work is normally measured in joules, force is measured in newtons, and distance is measured in meters. So if your problem is stated in centimeters, make sure you convert it into meters using 100 centimeters in the meter. If the question is about lifting weights, remember that a kilogram is approximately 10 newtons. Electricity or electric current is tiny charged particles called electrons which flow along a wire. An electric circuit will have a battery in it, and then it will have wires running between the positive and the negative terminal, and some components and switches attached to the wires. No current will flow unless the electrons have a route to travel between the positive and the negative pole of the battery. So a switch works by breaking the circuit or reconnecting it again. Depending on the type of wire that you use, it can be harder or easier for the electric current to pass. So think about it like a pipe. It might have more or less resistance, and this property for electricity is also called resistance. A thick wire, for example, will have less resistance than a thin wire. The material that the wire is made from also affects resistance. At one end of the scale you have insulators like plastic, through which electricity virtually does not flow. At the other end of the scale you have a material like copper, where electricity can flow through it very easily. Some key terminology is voltage, the potential difference, current, measured in amperes, and resistance, which is measured in ohms. You can think of the voltage as a pushing force, pushing the electrons along, and the current as the speed with which the electrons travel. And the relationship is that the pushing force required is the voltage is the current multiplied by the resistance. Pressure is defined as force divided by area. One way of remembering this is by imagining shoes. So the force is the same, it'll be the weight of the person, but the area that the person is standing on will depend on the kind of shoes that they're wearing. So flat shoes will have a lot of area, and if they step on you, it won't hurt very much. But if the same person steps on you wearing high heels, because the heel has a small area, even though the same force is pressing down, it's spread over a very small surface area, so that generates a high pressure. In a liquid, pressure increases with depth. You can think of it as the weight of the water on top of you. If you've ever been diving, you'll know that the deeper you go, the more pressure is something that you have to be concerned about.